What's going on, Thrallers? Miller. Finally, right? Long time no see. A lot of stuff going on. Moved into a new house. Had a little baby. New digs. New little studio. I got my own little control room. All my fancy amps over here. So doing it up. Be able to show off some of this stuff on our Patreon page for those who are in the know with that. Link below. But in case you missed it, last year there was a little release by a band called iFlies. Now, I'm a big, I love punk and fast punk, stuff like that, heavy, coming from my Motorhead roots. This band, iFlies, is like Melvins if they just continuously were heavy all the time and like grooved all the time. Not that they don't groove a lot, but there's some weird stuff in there that the Melvins has. But iFlies, it's like balls to the wall, pedal to the floor all the time. Now they're classified as like a heavy noise rock, but I don't get that a lot in their music. They do that feedback type thing every now and then where they're playing off the feedback of the guitars, but it's tastefully done. It's not overdone. They do it a little more at the beginning of the album to kind of, I guess, maybe solidify that noise rock thing. But I've listened to a lot of noise rock that's just unlistenable. I don't care for it. And I almost skipped over this, but Tub of Lard, it was a cool kind of album, the cool kind of cover. It's just this big toxic waste barrel, tub of lard. And I started to listen to it and immediately fell in love with it. Again, I like the Melvins and I like most of their stuff, but this is just taking the stuff that I like about them and just constant. Obviously, they're a fan of the band with the name iFlies. It comes from the Melvins song. But there's bits and pieces of Melvins influence, other bands similar, but they kind of do their own thing. They got their kind of own sound. They're really groove oriented. A lot of the songs are just jam. It's just a great listen to. The band is made up of members from different bands that are kind of came together. They're all from that East Coast area, Baltimore, that kind of area in there in the DC area. It's got Full of Hell guitarist Spencer Hazard on guitars, of course. Backslider bassist Jake Smith is actually playing guitars and doing the vocals. Ex-Backslider drummer Patrick Forrest is playing drums on here. And filling out on bass is going to be Kevin Bernstein from Triac, but he's known more for his engineering. He's done some stuff with Relapse Records. I think he did a single for Misery Index a couple years back. I could be wrong about that one, though. They did release an EP in 2019, about 6 months before the release of Tub of Lard, which was released March 20th, 2020. Unfortunately, like right after the lockdown. I think everything was locked down on like the 18th. I think the 18th was when the market crashed and everything got locked down around that time. So it was really bad timing, as with a lot of these bands that release stuff or had stuff planned to release in that time period. My last interview for the In Case You Missed It with Skeleton Pit, they came and ran into the same thing. And the next one that I have with Orphans of Doom, same thing. So that's the kind of what my drive for this segment was to kind of highlight some of these bands that I think are awesome, badass, a little more underrated. You may not have heard them. I mean, iFlies has, last time I checked on like YouTube Music, they had like maybe 110 subscribers or something like that, something small. But their other bands are doing well. The guys are keeping busy. Like I said, Kevin does a lot of engineering stuff, so he's busy as it is. Backslider will be at Maryland Death Fest next year, which the Thralls guys are all going to be over there hanging out at the Maryland Death Fest, hanging out with Chris from Metalomania. What's up, Chris? So we just found out, too, that Cavalier Conspiracy is going to be on there. So there's a lot of big names. Carcass is going to be on there. The list is online. It's crazy. But I'm really looking forward to seeing Backslider play and meeting my boy Jake in person here. Now, if you wanted to pick a song, or if I had to give you a song to kind of show you overall what this band sounds like, the song Guillotine is a pretty good representation of the way they are sonically throughout the whole album. And like I said, it's got driving vocals, driving riffs, everything pounds, everything grooves. It's good old school punk, and I love every second of it. Definitely worth checking out. But as usual, don't take my word for it. Here's Jake. Fill us in with the interview.
What's up, Thrallers? Special interview for you. I'm super stoked about this. I'm a big fan of the band Eye Flies. The album last year was Tubalard. You heard me ramble about it. I have Jake Smith here, guitars, vocals for this band. And like I said in the first part of this, I mean, if you fucking like grind, Melvins, a little bit of Helmet I can hear in there a little bit. Dude, I came across that album because it released on my birthday. And
okay. Well, then you just had one again. Happy birthday.
yeah, thank you. And you know, going through stuff and I saw Eye Flies, Tubalard. I was like, hey, that's kind of like, that's got a cool name. I like the toxic waste kind of barrel there, the tub of lard, you know, and yeah. I don't know, it's kind of, it screamed punk to me, and man, it just didn't disappoint. I'm a huge, I fucking love old school, Black Flag, Motorhead, all Melvins, you know, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And I haven't, until you guys, really found a band that kind of scratched that itch, you know. Maybe that's, I don't listen to enough, maybe, but you guys were the first one, so thanks for joining us on the channel. I know our fans appreciate it. So how has this whole shit, because you guys, that was fucking shit timing, man. Unfortunately, you guys
sure
release an album 2 days after fucking the market crashes and everything goes to hell.
Yeah.
How did you guys deal with that? Like, did you just say, well, fuck it, there's nothing we can do?
You know, I don't know how, I don't think there's another time in my life where I've moved through such extreme emotions in such a short period of time. Because at first it was heartbreaking, you know, because the big thing was we were canceling a tour that we were supposed to go out and support Primitive Man and Full of Hell in Europe, and it was going to be, you know, great. It was like all the shows were selling really well. Some of them had already sold out, and it was like, oh yeah, you know, we're really going to kick this record off with a bang, like all this stuff. And then it was probably within 10 days of it coming out was when everything was getting canceled, and it was kind of, we were finally really being like, yeah, this isn't happening.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, you know, quickly sinking into like a bummer kind of depressive state. But then, and I really expected to kind of be like, I don't know how long, like this is like gonna fuck up my life. Like I'm gonna be so depressed about this for so long. I take that kind of stuff hard because it's like I don't really give a shit about doing anything else with my life. So
yeah, when you pour your heart and soul into something, and then something out of your control just comes and fucks it, you know.
Totally. And but because it was just kind of like so much was happening all at once. Anything anybody was doing was done. Mm-hmm. Like at the same moment, basically. So it was like after a couple of days, it was just kind of like just seeing everything around you. It's just like, I don't know, it was really easy to say fuck it in a weird way that I didn't expect. But like it came on quick, and I was just like, all right, we're just in this crazy, like everybody on the planet is in this fucked up place right now. Mm-hmm. I guess, all right,
fuck it.
Fuck it, we'll figure it out. You know, I think there was like, the shit got like secretly postponed like 2 different times. It was like we'd set up some like a replacement dates, and then there was like some that we weren't going to be able to do because of our drummers like work obligations, and then like another idea of something we might have been able to do. And then after a little bit, it was like, all right, none of this is happening. Nobody's doing anything this year. We'll figure it out later. And that's kind of still where we are.
Okay. Now, have you taken this opportunity because you guys write and it's out. I mean, you guys are it seems like you guys just riff and it comes together, because you had the EP that came out in March. You guys toured a little bit in the fall off of that, and then the whole album came out. And I mean, shit, the way you guys seems
I think the EP came out in like October of 2019. September, October, actually.
September 13th.
And then, is that what it was? Okay, yeah. And then we had the full length come out the following March.
Yeah, so it's like 6 months, you know.
Yeah, that was. I mean, I've definitely. None of us have ever, except maybe Spencer, because Full of Hell is constantly putting out material. But Patrick and Kevin and I definitely have never experienced anything where it was like putting together records and having them come out so fast. That was hugely on Thrill Jockey though. I don't know how many times in my life on other projects where it's like, yeah, we're ready to put a record out, but we're gonna record it and then we're gonna wait a year and then we're gonna, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Like it goes. Whereas this stuff, it was like we had a deal and people waiting. So it was like by the time we were done, people were ready to do something with it by the time we handed it to them.
Oh, that's awesome. And you don't get too many record labels like that. I'm glad more are like that, because Thrill Jockey, they got just a wide range of different music and bands.
Totally.
I was looking through it and it was just all over the place. I was like, man, and it's smart. You don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Absolutely. I mean, the lady who runs the label, Bettina, she's been doing this shit for a long time. I don't want to misspeak, so I don't remember what label she worked for before, but I want to say it was yeah, I don't know if it
One
was
of them.
if it was like, but it was like a cool one. Like it was like, I don't know if it was Sub Pop. If it wasn't Sub Pop, it was like something like that. It was like a label that was doing cool stuff that I think kind of like became a major or something like that. Or maybe it was like Geffen or something like that, where they were doing a lot of cool shit in the 90s. But either way,
Geffen is in some good shit.
Totally. And I think at some point she was like working under someone there or something like that. And then she was like, I'm going to start my own thing. And I think that was like 92 or 94 or something like that. And ever since then, she's been, she knows what she's doing. She obviously knows angles into different kind of areas and scenes, and is smart enough to not kind of like fall too hard into a specific niche.
Yeah. I just based on the log of artists, I could tell that they were pretty smart in the way they're doing this,
Absolutely.
And there weren't a whole hell of a lot of like metal type bands on there.
Yeah, we were one of the few.
Yeah.
They just signed Bummer though. I don't know if you're familiar with Bummer, but they're like similar kind of like
notes,
like kind of like heavy noise rock band, kind of like what we do, like lay into the, like the Helmet kind of vibe a little bit, and like the real kind of like tough, but like not in a stupid way. But they put out a split with the Body on Thrill Jockey, and now I think they're working on an LP now. I just saw like video of the singer Coalesce doing like guest vocals on one of their songs, like a whole thing. But they're doing that, and it's exciting to see them kind of continuing to do more heavy stuff on that label, because Bummer is heavy as shit. I expect them to do well.
Nice.
And the Body's been on that label for a long time too.
I'm gonna jam them right after this. Well, after I watch, I'm gonna watch the Obituary live stream after this. But
is that tonight?
Yeah, dude.
Hell yeah.
Yep, the first show. This is the I think they're doing like the fan favorites, and then in 2 weeks they're gonna do another full concert. I think they're doing a full album. I'm gonna have to look, but it's so busy with shit. I just saw it. It was like Obituary 5 p.m. I was like, oh, take my money. Take it.
Yep, you got it.
But I kind of like these live streams. Now, have you done any of that or
we did actually. We did a Mutant of the Monster. I don't know if you're familiar with the band Wake from Arkansas. It starts with an R, WAKE. They're like a classic like relapse for lack of a better term, CT Don't Kill Me, the like kind of like progressive sludge, if that's like a makes sense. I don't know. They're really amazing
a little
band, but an old band I was in years ago, did some shows with and toured with them, and we made friends with CT, their singer, and he lives in Arkansas, books a lot of stuff down there, and he booked a virtual fest called Mutants of the Monster, and we did the first one. I think there's been 3 of them now, and my other band Backslider's doing the 4th one in June.
Nice.
But we only did the one, and it was just that it was super cool. I think you can watch it on YouTube now. If you just search iFly's Live Lard.
Okay.
But that's the only one we've done. Some folks have done like 3 and 4 and 5 of them or whatever. It's kind of
Clutch. It's like every month.
Really, yeah,
which is fine with me.
No, that's cool. I think it's rad. It's funny how quick the attitude changed around that stuff too. I feel like everyone I know, when they really first started happening, especially us for sure, it was kind of like, we would do some streaming stuff, and I was like, fuck that, that's kind of like corny and whatever. And then it was like a couple months later, somebody, CT hit us up and was like, hey man, you guys want to do this virtual streaming thing? And I was like, yeah, hey boys, you want to do this? And we're like, yeah. Let's fucking do it.
After like 6 months of sitting on your ass, just itching to play anything.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was like, cool, we have not played a single song off of our record since it's been out. Let's do that.
That's so crazy. And it's been a year, and it's like there's a little light at the end of the tunnel. Well, I think it was my birthday weekend. Crowbar actually had a show down in New Orleans, and dude, I was looking up ticket prices, man, because there was only like 50 people, and so I messaged Kurt. I was like, hey man, how many tickets you guys got left for that? He's like, man, I think there's like 20 left if you get on it. And I was looking up flights because I was going to fly down there, go to the show, fly back Sunday. I couldn't find a flight less than $320. I was like,
the prices are going back up now that shit's opening back up. Because for a minute when it was real sketchy, you could get a $50 flight across the fucking country, but, but it was also like, you might die, but hey.
Yeah, you might die, but hey, yay Vegas.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, believe me, I was looking at that, and if my wife wasn't pregnant, we would have probably been just weekend tripping all over, man. You know, it's nice. Wipe your shit down, wear a mask, be safe. You know, I think it'd be
totally.
But,
I mean, me and my girlfriend, we were like, we have like a portable toilet in the back of my van and like all kinds of shit. Like we were hitting the road going camping and all kinds of stuff. I was like, we'll make this shit work for us. We're not gonna stay stuck in the house anymore than we have to, you know.
Yeah, no shit. Go around with the van, a fucking acoustic guitar, some beer. Yeah, dude, that's the way to live, man. I think, like the Tom Green did. Tom Green, he converted an old Sprinter van to just a mobile recording unit, and he goes around and does his podcast just wherever, you know. So I was like, man.
Oh, really? I think Steve-O the Jackass guy, was doing that shit too.
Yep, I think he might have got the idea.
It's a good move.
Yeah,
that would make sense.
Absolutely.
I think they're both, so they're probably like, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He was on Rogan just recently, but so in terms of gear, because I am a gearhead. Now, do you guys use, because this is a big thing I ask everybody really, virtual or physical instruments? Are you into the VSTs, the Waves plugins, the IK stuff? Or you like that Soldano in front of you or whatever it may be?
We're very much I don't know, tube amps and you know, circuitry, etc. I don't necessarily have any issue with that kind of stuff personally. I don't really know enough about it, to be honest. I just know that like the last time I fiddled with any digital stuff or was I think before the technology had really gotten any good. So, you know, when I was like a older teen, I'd had like some Line 6 stuff and like some shit like that. And then once I kind of like totally. And then once I kind of like realized the difference and sharpened my ear to like tube amps and stuff through like friends who like knew what they were doing and had cool shit for me to like check out. Ever since then, just kind of never looked back. Also, our bass player, Kevin, is a really prolific recording engineer who cares very much about keeping things as analog as possible. So
nice. That's cool.
Him being the sound guru that he is, I think even if any of us were thinking about trying to push back on that, he would probably
be like, no, guys.
But I don't think that any of us would. I mean, Spencer's like pretty hyper into like fucked up electronic stuff or whatever, and it's like always analog and all that. So I don't think, you know, and as far as any kind of percussion stuff goes, Pat would probably sooner jump off a bridge than use like anything that wasn't an acoustic drum set.
Yeah, drums are a little different. Now I use, just because of the area that I have, you know, I have an Alesis kit that's electronic, and I use Steven Slate drums, which I think are the better ones. It seems more organic, the sound anyway, and that's what we use to record. Actually, Jam and John from the channel, and me and him and my brother have a band, Doom Guys, and that's how we record the drums right now until we can get his. You know, he's got a big ass Pearl Masters series, and we just don't have a spot for it right now. So that's
what's up. I mean, and it's awesome that technology exists so that you can make shit work for your situation, whatever it may be. You know, I mean, I've benefit from that kind of stuff too. Whenever I'm demoing songs at home, you know, I use this fucking pad right here to play drums on. You know what I mean? And then just like you know, same kind of shit, like, you know, use like decent drum samples and whatever and like put it together. And I know people, well, there was some stuff even that I demoed and sent to another recording engineer who I won't name because I don't want to blow up a spot, but a good friend who's pretty accomplished in that world, and we've been sending back like just random shit, whatever we've been working on, kind of just like keeping up with other. And I think also just kind of being like, hey man, you know, pandemic's depressing, you're doing all right. It's like, yeah, I'm working on this, check it out.
That's
but I sent some
important
stuff that I
have that.
So absolutely
Yeah.
good friends, you know. I had put together a project that I was working on, like a solo thing, and I had like programmed all the drums and, you know, like humanized them and then like mixed them heavily and kind of dirtied them up and really tried to make them sound as real and as intense as I could with like adjusting velocities, all that crap. But I sent it to him and he was like, oh man, he's like, the drums sound killer. He's like, did you play these? And I was just like,
Yes, I did.
and if I and me being like not an accomplished engineer of any sort, even if I had tried to do something like that 5-6 years ago, it simply would not have been possible. So like the way in which that technology is coming around, I think is fucking awesome.
Yeah, I agree. I've been moving more toward that. Our Shred Lord, again, going back to him, he just got a Kemper system and he loves it, fucking loves it. And you know, the last
you love it, you know.
Yeah, the guys from Skeleton Pit who I interviewed, the guitars and the bass, it's a 3-piece, but the guitars and the bass, they have a rack. Boom, there it is. That's it.
Oh shit.
And they're done. 5 minutes, hook up, and he's like, you know, I could go around with my flash drive if the place has a Kemper system, just plug my flash drive in and all my shit's there.
No
Done.
shit.
I can carry my amp in my pocket.
That's
But
crazy.
yeah, I didn't suspect that you did that, especially on the recording, because I can hear the difference. Me being an engineer, I can hear the difference. And my question about the recording, you guys did everything separate? So you recorded the drums and you got the bass on there and then the guitar and then the vocals, everything was separate?
Yeah. I think or wait, actually, you know what? For Tubalard,
Because it kind of sounded like a jam.
So yeah, so me
bit.
and Pat, the drummer, most of what we do anyways is like centric around him and I, because we're the only ones that live in Philadelphia.
Okay.
So we get together often, like once or twice a week when we're working on shit. We're like back in that mode now. And so like most of it is kind of like, even like, you know, we're not the only ones who write stuff, but I mean, him and I do come up with most of the ideas. But even like when you know, with like Spencer or Kevin have ideas, they'll just send us shit. They like send a video of them playing it, be like, yo, put this with something or make something work out of this or whatever. Me and Pat are the ones kind of hammered it out. So we went to go record. When we went to go record the record, I think it was like kind of even a last minute thing where I think Kevin was just like, hey, do you want to just do a guitar track with Pat so that we can get one down? Because he was like, I know you're going to want to do at least 3. And I was like, you're right.
Yeah. Minimum.
Yeah. And he was like, why don't you just knock one out while Pat does his drum tracks? So we did that. So it was like me and him doing it at first, and then we layered on top of all that.
Okay, yeah, because I can tell the difference, because it seems like drummers, it's like they jive or swing more better, I guess, when they're playing with somebody instead of just playing to a click or whatever, you know. That's what
especially
I usually
he writes totally. He writes a lot of the riffs too. Our drummer.
Oh, dude, so that is so valuable to have a drummer that can do that.
It's great. I mean, this band was his idea, based off of riffs that he had written for what was going to be like a project with him and his wife at the time, years ago. But it was all like, that was like the genesis of it, was Pat being like, and so I was familiar with the material to a small extent way before, just gonna be like, oh, that's that shit that Pat's been working on by himself.
So when he left Backslider, then that's what he was predominantly working on, was putting together these ideas.
Yeah, well, he was working on it before we parted ways, actually, and then I think it was actually even shelved around the same time that we split up, and he kind of took a little bit of a break from shit, and then I think it was like Spencer moved to Philly for a bit, and when Spencer was moving to Philly, he was like, him and Pat had been talking, and they were like, hey, let's start jamming. Pat was like, I got some songs.
That's nice when you have something that, you know, you got some groundwork, and you're not just like in there for the first 40 minutes just pissing in corners, you know, trying to lay out what you do and what the other person does. If you have like, okay, here's a foundation, now let's put the walls up and let's do this. So that's a good way to write. So you guys do a lot of the digital file sharing and stuff like that to write. Obviously you're in
a little bit. They've done that for a handful of things. A lot of times, honestly, it'll be like a lot of the like more hands-on demoing I do is for like other projects that I do. Whereas like with the iFly stuff, I've done a few like build it on my computer and then like record shit at the house demoing for iFlies. But for the most part, it's just like literally just like a quick video of like whoever wrote the riff being like, here's the riff, or here's the couple of parts I have. And then like, let's meet up. And then we meet up and then hammer it out. And so like, usually the other band receives material via Pat and I recording a video at the practice space of the two of us playing something and be like, here's what we're working on.
Gotcha. Yeah. And then how often you guys do get together?
It really depends. It's been really infrequent as of late, as one can imagine. Mm-hmm. But it's essentially like we have a new record recorded. And
so given you guys' track record, it'll be out tomorrow.
I wish. I actually don't think I can tell you more about it until June. So sometime after that, it'll be after that. I think that's when it's going to get announced. So
sweet. Dude, I can't wait. Then
I'm excited. I think it's the material is disgusting, but
yeah, man, that'll be a good month. I got my baby coming June 25th. A new iFlies too.
All right.
I'll have to you guys going to do a pre-order on the vinyl?
Yeah. The label we're doing it with is definitely going to have a pre-order for it.
Okay.
I think the pre-order will probably go up with announcement. It'll be like in June. They'll probably be like, hey, this is coming out, whatever, and here's the pre-order kind of thing. That's how they tend to work, from what I've watched. Anyways, we haven't solidified the information necessarily.
Yeah, I'll be emailing you like once a couple of weeks. Hey, dude, Jake. Hey, you got the pre-order?
Yeah, what's up with that?
What's up with the pre-order vinyl, bro?
Keep it going. I'm not very easily annoyed, so feel free.
No, being in Philly, Cheese Whiz or Provolone, man?
Provolone all day.
Oh yeah.
I'm not a Whiz hater, don't get me wrong, but I just prefer the Provolone pretty heavily, especially the extra sharp Provolone.
Yeah, dude,
that's where it's like so stinky and just fucking. I love it.
Now, where's your place though in Philly? Because I have a place. I'm not even from Philly, and I have a place because I've been to all the places.
Yeah.
Where's your place?
It depends on what part of this. Would you say
Tony Luke's? You a Tony Luke's guy, or?
I don't know that I've actually had Tony Luke's.
Really? That's the place, I guess.
I've
it's
heard
not my
talk
place.
about it. I think I've not made it to like close enough to one to make it happen. But I have the spot. There's a couple of schools of thought, and I subscribe to them non-exclusively. And it depends on the thing. It's kind of like my girlfriend, actually, the way she puts it is my favorite way, right? It's like pizza in New York. Okay. It's not about it being a little bit better than the one down the street or the one or whatever. It's the one that's on your fucking corner that costs like $4. That's the one that's tight. That's like, and it's usually, and those are usually really good. They might be a little smaller than the ones at like the big, like, this is a fucking cheesesteak spot or whatever. But like the bodega on the corner is like largely marked by its cheesesteak quality, and it's usually high quality. Nice. Now, if we're talking now, if someone's coming into town and someone's like, I want a fucking cheesesteak and I'm ready to like, mow down kind of thing. Yeah. If we're in West Philadelphia where I live, surprisingly enough, my favorite place to go is Sod's, and it's like a falafel joint. It's like I also go there to get like falafel and baklava. Really? But their cheesesteak is fucking wild. If you're in South Philly, there's like a proper like hole in the wall sandwich spot called Cosme's.
Cosme's, I've been there.
Cosme's is like kind of the one. If you want to get the whole experience, that's the spot for me, because it's the South Philly hole in the wall. The people that work there are like nice, but they're also kind of dicks, and it's like looks like shit. And then you get this like greasy, like wrapped in 6 papers, like giant cheesesteak, and then you like eat it and want to pass out. Like that's the spot.
That's
plus on the next corner down is like this old bakery called Termini Brothers. It's been there since like the fucking 20s or some crazy shit, and it's like it's just like old Italian bakery shit. So you go and get like, me and my girlfriend will get tiramisu from there, or like just like fresh filled cannolis or like stuff like that. It's like you hit those two spots on a South Philly run, and you're that's like the taste of South Philly to me.
Dude, I wrote down a couple of these. I'm gonna check those out. But if you're out east, it's like northeast. If you're going toward like Delaware, that bridge, it's called Deacon Stanza.
Really? I see. I'm gonna write this down.
Oh,
Where's my phone?
dude, it's that place is the shit, man. It's out away from stuff. It's about 20 minutes from Philly proper.
Okay.
But it's like northeast. It's Deacon Stanza's Sandwich.
Deacon, like deacon, like a church deacon.
Yeah, I think so.
Deacon Stands.
This is important stuff, Thrallers.
It absolutely is.
You can't make metal without fucking steak.
Sometimes it may hinder me, but the vibe is there.
There we go. It's DICOSTANZA. Dicostanza. Look at the pictures of that shit, man, on Google. That fucking sandwich, man, is as big as your fucking forearm.
Dicostanzas. There it is. It popped right up. Oh. Yeah.
I'm telling you, that's the place.
I'll be making a trip. I'll be making a trip
Yeah,
to
it's
check
not
that
too
out.
far.
I'll get back to you.
Yeah.
Back to you on that.
I used to drive truck out there, and we would go into Dover from Philly and stuff, and we'd just drive right past there, and there's a church right next to it there's nobody there, so we just park the semi in there and go over and mow down. So yeah, I always have to ask that of people of Philly, like Cheese Whiz or Provolone. See, I'm a Provolone guy, but
respect the whiz though, because I feel like, especially for a lot of folks, like if they're coming through and like I was saying before, like if someone's coming and you got to take them to a cheesesteak kind of thing, and they're like, I need one. It's important to check in, and be like, okay, does Cheese Whiz gross you out? If not, get your first one with Cheese Whiz, because that's like, that's the mainstay. It's the famous thing. It's like, you gotta have it proper tradish first, and then kind of
I was that way because that's why we hit up. The first one I hit up was Tony Luke's, and and just kind of went around to different places. We were only there for a couple of days. We actually went out for Ween at the Navy Pier.
Really? That's awesome.
Man, I don't even remember. It was a while ago, man. 4 or 5 years ago, they were at the Navy Pier. Ween.
Oh wow, okay. I saw one show out there ever. Ween, that's great that they played there.
We drove there for Ween, and that's awesome. It was 100% worth it, man. I'm a big Ween.
That's what I hear. I hear they're great live.
Live, it's insane. I'm not a big fan of their studio albums. I've said this on the channel before. Their studio albums are a little too drugged out for me. But their live albums, fucking killer, dude. Listen to Ween live in Chicago.
Okay, you know what? So I have heard some of that, and my buddy Graham, he'll probably maybe never see this because I don't think he tunes into music media, but he plays in a sick band called Mellow Harsher, to name drop his shit. But he is a gigantic Ween fan, and so they're like an insane, like power violence influenced grindcore band, like absurdly fast. Like the riffs are just like,
it's just like
super
Ween,
fucking
baby.
wild. It's like, it's like, but then they'll, like in between playing like a bunch of crazy fast fucked up shit and like an insane amount of jokes, they're also like they're almost like performance art. They're so fucking funny. But then they'll just do like a block of Ween songs in their set, like true to form, perfect. Like they won't like make it punk or like any kind of shit like that. It's like they just like could do a proper Ween cover and then like go back to playing like crazy grind shit. It's super fun,
dude.
He showed me that. He showed me a live album of theirs one time, and I think it was that one.
Yeah, live in Chicago.
Like, this is live in Chicago. Yeah, it was like, this is that shit. They're from Madison, so like right outside Chicago anyway. So I think it's like his shit.
Yeah. I was super stoked to go out there in Philly and see them. Because they're that's pretty much like their home show, pretty much. Ween plays a lot in Chicago, though. They love Chicago. They're usually there every like St. Patty's Day, but unfortunately this year. Which, going back to like when you guys are amping up when shit opens, are you gonna try and do the European thing first? Or are you gonna try and do something around in the States, just kind of get your feet wet again?
To be honest, I have no fucking idea. I think we haven't talked much about like, this is our mission for like how like starting tour again or whatever. We're in like an interesting space as far as like the priority that this band holds for the members of it. I think we're all like very much into it and love it, and we'll we have a new record and we'll be doing as many things as we can. But my band Backslider just finished a record, and like Full of Hell just finished a record, and
so you guys are busy as fuck.
Totally. And I think, and really when it comes down to it, the main priority, I think, for anyone in our camp to get back on the road is going to be Full of Hell, because they're a machine. I mean, they're like, it's like actually a part of their income as like people in the band kind of thing that like they depend on and whatnot. So for us, it's kind of like a, less consequential, I guess, when it comes to that kind of thing. Me personally, the second someone's like, we want y'all to go out for however the fuck long, I'm ready. And I'm trying to do that because that's all that I want to do. But, Full of Hell being the machine that it is, Spencer's going to have to take that as priority. And Kevin, our bass player, like I was saying, is a super accomplished recording engineer. He does tons of records for Relapse and all the big boys and all that shit. But he also builds guitars. And
so it's a guitar, nice.
He builds. So if you check out the live stream that we did, the live lard thing on YouTube, there is the guitars that the guitar I'm playing. I can't remember if Spenny's playing one or not because he got his stolen at one point. But the guitar that I'm playing and then the bass that Kevin is playing, he built. Nice. And they're very popular right now. And they're all like kind of built to order because they're like aluminum neck and all this kind of stuff. So it's like, that's his kind of big thing that he's building right now. So that also means that his life's really,
he's got a lot of shit going on.
And he always does. He's a workaholic, and he's just super gifted with the shit he does. I mean, he makes my favorite sounding records and he makes my favorite sounding guitars. And he also, that means his life is very expensive. He has, 2 houses that he joined together to like build his recording studio while also having a place to live, / like building working on guitars in his basement / in a warehouse somewhere.
That's
/ his monthly overhead is like 5 times more money than I make in a year kind of thing. I'm exaggerating obviously, but it's like that kind of thing where it's just like, where he's like, I can't go and be like, accept a $250 a night guarantee for us to go out on the road when like I need to be home making money, and also like not getting my waiting list for guitars backed up and all this kind of stuff. So not to say that doesn't mean we won't go on tour, and also doesn't mean that we won't get a fill-in for him if we need to, because we've like discussed that already. There's just a lot of moving parts. So to be able to be like, we're going to go out and hit the road at this time and go to this place, we're eager to go everywhere, and we most certainly will. But there are other things I think that need to be, as the restrictions relax and as the kind of ability to book and do things comes back, I think that we're going to have to wait a little bit to see how the cards fall, to see what's going to happen with us. Ideally, Full of Hell, Primitive Man, I Fly's European tour will get like rebooked mostly as it was, and we'll get to do that. But that's kind of out of our hands specifically.
Yeah, because I know that a lot of places over there still went back into a lockdown recently because shit's spiking up. So
totally. And and none of us, it's funny because we're also not eager necessarily, but it's like nobody's like try rush to be the first ones to do it, at least as far as we're concerned. It's kind of like, if shit's gonna get weird, let's maybe see whoever doesn't have the patience. See how that pans out before we go jump.
Yeah, that's kind of smart. Yeah, see where the fire is going to go before you go jumping in.
Totally.
So so Kevin was in that other band. Now, how did you guys rope him in? And with all that stuff he's got going on.
Excellent terminology. Actually, he was absolutely roped into the band. No doubt. What had happened was when we did the Context EP, we had played one show as a 3-piece. I played bass.
So you play bass on Context?
Technically, yes.
Okay.
But we had played one show, and like live, I had played bass, and then when we went into the studio, we kind of already had a plan to. I had been kind of bugging the other guys because I'm like mainly a guitar player, and the last handful of years up until this point, I'd been like predominantly playing bass and drums in bands. I was like, I really want to like do something on guitar again that's like serious. So after we started writing the stuff, I started getting ideas for like leads and like just, you know, second parts and all this stuff. And before we went to record, I was like, I really want to also play guitar in this band. Who could we get to play bass? And I think I can't remember whose idea it was first, but it was all as soon as somebody said Kevin, we were all kind of like, yeah, Kevin will be sick. And Spencer was like, all right, why don't, when we go record the record with him, which we had already planned to do, some point while we're there, if it seems like he's vibing on the material and thinks it's cool, maybe we'll ask him. And that was essentially how it happened. I had recorded a handful of bass tracks, or did all the bass tracks, and then I'd recorded a bunch of guitars as well. And he's like, you're playing a lot of guitar on this record, like how's that gonna work out and stuff? And I was like, well, we're actually thinking it would be sick if you wanted to play bass in this band so that I could also play guitar. And he was like, he didn't say yes right away, but he was like, I could do that maybe, like let me think on that. And I think it was he was very much having to be like, do I have time to do this? And I think ultimately in his head the answer was like mostly no, but then I don't even think we had final mixes yet, and we had sent the shit off to a few people because of Spenny being in full of hell, we had the ear of some folks to be like, hey, do you want to put this out? And it didn't take too long for Thrill Jockey to come back and say that they were interested. And so when we were like, hey Kevin, so Thrill Jockey's going to put out a record and they like are signing us for a follow-up, you know, what do you? And he was like, yeah, all right, fuck it, let's do it.
That's awesome.
And since then, yeah,
it seems like
we've had Kevin.
Seen, I mean, just talking to you the way you are and what you explain how your band works, that to me seems like the way it should be. I mean, you guys are very courteous and conscious of others' time and what they're doing and stuff like that. And you guys seem like you talk, and it's more of, you know, a collaboration than it is like, hey, this is me.
Definitely.
And, dude, you guys got it. That's the way it needs to go. And that's longevity in the music.
Totally. I mean, we've all been doing this shit for so long, you know, like this is none of ours first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, or 10th band. So like we've all, you know, we've been doing it for long enough. We've all dealt with each other at some capacity before, like, you know, like me and Pat recorded Backslider records with Kevin. Multiple Full of Hell records were recorded with Kevin. We've all played shows together, like all that stuff. And so we all had enough of an idea of how one another operated in general. And, you know, like any band, we have little hiccups, disagreements and stuff, but because we're also very, very, very different people. In fact, more so than any other band I've ever been in, as far as like the actual influences that we have personally.
I hear that even in the different bands. I mean, because Full of Hell is pretty gnarly, man. They're super fast, aggressive, and stuff like that. And then when you go from that and you listen to I Flies, it's like where you can see the influences, especially with what did I write? The Armory of Obsidian Glass and Thundering Hammers. Those songs, you can kind of hear elements of what you guys are doing in I Flies, but other than that, like Full of Hell is just brutal, man. They're just balls
totally. Well, that was kind of the thing we were all doing before too, and I think that's part of what attracted us all to doing this kind of thing, because, you know, it's like Backslider, similar kind of thing, like mostly fast, like trying to go as fast as we can kind of thing. And then, you know, Triac even more so. Triac's nuts. Triac's like the fastest band on the East Coast. And it's like, so the shit's just like ridiculous. So I actually even think going back to like when shit originally came together, I think one of the things that Pat had said to Spencer when they sort of first agreed to jam was like, cool, I'm down to do this, but like, I don't want to play fast. And Spencer was like, good, I don't want to play fast either.
That's awesome.
It was like kind of like first rule essentially was nothing will be fast.
I need my wrist to get a break between the guitar chugging and the masturbating. I can't do it anymore.
Totally. Yeah. It's like, you know, you can handle so much. We're getting old, you know?
Yeah, no, shit. I'll be 40 next year. Just turned 39.
Oof.
Yeah, I know, right?
Looking great, bud. Looking great.
I know. Thanks, man. It's the hat. Then the beer. I'm drinking the water first before I have a rule. I'll drink 2 of these before I dig into the beer, and I drink 4 beers and then another one of these. And
nice.
if I'm really getting antsy and going full bore, get a jug of Pedialyte, man.
Oh, there you go. That's what's up,
dude. When I went and saw Pantera. Dude, that was what Vinny, you know, we were talking. That's what he said. He's like, dude, I was like, what's with the fucking Pedialyte in the bus? He's like, oh my God, that's the best. That's the most valuable thing on this bus.
Yep.
Besides all the SpongeBob shit.
Totally. It's the truth. It's the truth. And it's like, that shit is so nasty. Like,
oh my God. Yeah.
But it's the only thing that works. It's like, unless you can get someone to show up at your house with an IV, like, that's the best thing you're gonna get.
Yep. Chug one of them bitches, force it down before you go to bed, you'll wake up right as rain, guarantee it.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, that was interesting. I'm sure that Vinny had never had that conversation with someone. I was pretty fortunate because it was actually damage plan when I was doing it, because we went up to Harpo's. We always go early, and dude, that was a great time because I told the story on the channel, but I'll tell you briefly. We didn't have money to go to the show. It's me and my buddy. Like, dude, we have $10. Let's throw $5 in the gas and $6 in gas and get 2 cheeseburgers, and we'll go to Harpo's and just hang out. So I ended up meeting Dime and hanging out. And he hung out with us a good hour, man. It was a long time.
That rules.
And he was like, "Oh, I better see you guys up front." Well, I didn't want to I wasn't fishing for fucking tickets. That's the bottom line. I wasn't fishing for tickets, but I didn't want my idol to look out and not see me where he told me to be.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. We're just hanging out, man. We just, unfortunately, we don't have any money. He's like, fuck that. And he's like, get these motherfuckers tickets, put them on my list and stuff. So we get in there and he handed us backstage passes and everything. So after the show, I got to put away Vinny's drum set.
Oh, that rules.
Picking up that fucking kick and putting it in the road case and stuff like that. That's and then he came out, so we got a chance to chat and stuff. And
hell yeah, I love shit like that, man. That's so cool.
Yeah, and that was
I had a similar thing happen with Against Me, which is probably embarrassing on this channel comparatively, but being from Florida, I was a big Against Me fan with our early on shit, and me and my ex had gone out to California to give up a child for adoption to some lovely folks out there. But we were there for the first day we were there, we saw in the paper that Against Me was playing at 924 Gilman Street, which, if you know what that is, it's super legendary. And we're like, oh man, we want to go. And the tickets were sold out, 4 people in front of us at the door. So we went around the side, and it was trying to talk one of the bouncers that was at the side door into letting us in. And the guy was like, my boss is right over here, otherwise I'd say fuck it and let you in or whatever. But by some stroke of luck, their drummer at the time, Warren, Boca Fiesta, what up, the restaurant he owns in Gainesville, he let us, he pulled us in. He was like, wait, or he actually came and found us because we started to walk away, and he was like, hey, Florida. And we turned around, and he was like, hey, you guys are the ones from Florida? And we're like, yeah. And he's like, come with me, and brought us in the front, got us on the list. And the person at the door was even like, your guest list has been exceeded, and we can't, we'll have to take it out of your pay if we let, and they was like, I don't give a shit, let it, let him in or whatever. And then he came in and gave us a bunch of free merch and all this shit.
Oh,
and
dude, then that's awesome.
But by the end of the night, I was singing along to every word with tears in my eyes next to Fat Mike and Melvin from NoFX. They were literally directly next to me, God, singing along and shit. And I was just, and I was I was straight up 16 years old. So I was just
oh man, what a great fucking time.
Yeah, it was the sickest shit. Yeah. I just love stuff like that. It's and it's and that, it's with what you were saying with the dime bag thing, and the same thing with him. It's that shit's cool. They probably don't even remember that happened because they were just being genuinely cool, and it's not a big deal. And that makes it that much cooler. You know what I mean? Those are they're just being them. And and you have a story that you remember for the rest of your life that you tell multiple times on your podcast, and it's sick, I fucking love that shit.
That's what I did. That's my favorite thing, is just to get up to a show early as fuck and just hang out, and there are certain venues that are better for it. Harpo's was always typically pretty good about it, or for that. IROC was great because it was a smaller place up there, and there's an alley in the back that's kind of away from shit. There's trees and stuff back there, so you're kind of forget that you're in the heart of the ghetto, and not in, I mean, it's just a bad part of Detroit, man. It's rough. I love Detroit. I'm a fucking fan of Detroit. I will go to Detroit and hang out whenever. But I'm not going to lie and say that it isn't fucking rough, in some of these spots.
Sure.
But
yeah, I mean, you gotta keep your eyes open, of course. It's the only place I've ever been asked not to pull out the gun that I didn't have. This lady asked me for money when I was like pulling something out of the van, and I just like turned around because like just to like respond, and she was just like, "Oh, please don't pull out your pistol." And I was like, and then I almost was like, "I don't have one," but then I was like, "I probably shouldn't say that I don't either."
Just be like, "No, you're good."
No,
I wouldn't do that.
Don't worry, I'll keep it in my pocket.
Yeah, so I'm hoping that, man, because that was pretty easy to do back in the day. And then once that shit went down in Columbus with Dime, stuff started getting a little stricter. And then it was about 10 years before it started.
Was that in Columbus? I didn't realize that was in Columbus.
Alrosa Villa, man.
Oh, shit.
And yeah, we actually had, my brother was working at a radio station, college radio station, Bowling Green, Ohio. And it was going to be an early birthday present for me because that was in December. My birthday's in March. So they had a show at Columbus and Alrosa. Then they had 2 days later, they had one in Detroit. So he set it up where when they were coming through, because they drive right past Bowling Green, he had it set up that I was going to interview Dime and Vinny for the radio station as an early birthday present.
Whoa.
So we had tickets for that show.
No shit.
And he canceled them and made some bullshit story up to me on why he had to cancel it, because he was setting that up. And then it was going to be, I was going to interview him. And then the next day we were going to go to the show in Detroit. My buddy Chris didn't know that we weren't going. All he knew is that we were going to Damage Plan and that I am always right in front of Dime.
Right.
At all times. Every show I'm at, I will fight my way to get up there. And I found out that shit happened from my buddy Chris kicking my fucking bedroom door down because he couldn't get it open. He thought that I was one of the 5 people that got shot.
Oh my God. Yeah. Holy shit. That's crazy.
He thought,
I forgot more than just him got killed at that. Like there was like, oh yeah, that's crazy, man. Well, I'm glad you weren't there. Jesus.
Yeah. Cause I mean, ultimately I hate to say it,
you
but
might have been one of them. Yeah.
I would have been up there. I would have been up there, and I would have did everything I fucking could, and I would have been dying. So but yeah, that's how I found out that. It was fucking crazy. But Alrosa down in Columbus.
Oh shit.
I've been down there once since then when they had the little memorial and shit there. But that was super crazy night, man, and that fucked me up for a while, man. It's like, and I think at that point it was dealing with other deaths. And it kind of just compacted, when you have someone that you build up like that, that you have so much respect for and love for, and he treated us very well, and all that shit comes in. And we, for 10 years after that, we had our annual dime bag party on his birthday in August.
Oh, that's sick. Hell yeah,
so we'd celebrate his birthday every year. We'd have a huge party.
Hell yeah.
And, just
put on
Pantera,
some tunes, roll up a couple dime bags.
Yep.
Yeah.
Back when I could do that before I got this stupid job. So I drive now, so I can't do it, unfortunately.
Oh, right.
Oh, it is what it is. Yeah, I got beer. We'll wait till I retire.
True. Yeah.
Well, hey, Thrallers, if you want Miller to start smoking again, join our Patreon at patreon.com/thrallsofmetal.
Get my man back on the weed.
Get my senses back. Why do you think these videos are so dull and unexciting?
You're killing it. You're doing a great job.
And actually, I'm going to get on and order your all's vinyl, Tubble Art on vinyl. So I'm going to do a segment because that's predominantly what I do is a vinyl. I collect vinyl, and our buddy Nick has one of the biggest metal CD collections I've ever seen.
Oh, cool. We got those too.
Ever. He's a ridiculous amount of CDs, but so we both kind of got the CDs in the vinyl market going. I just did a bunch, and I'm sitting on. I got the SOD reissue that Revolver did on vinyl. I got that.
Oh yeah, nice.
And then what the hell else did I just get? The Fu Manchu. So they did a limited run of Fu Manchu, Eating Dust Godzilla, and I ordered that. I got on ordered your guys's. What the hell else did I get? I spent so much. Cannibal Corpse, pre-ordered all that shit, the shirt, and everything.
Nice.
I can't wait for that album, man.
I
can't wait.
I was looking at the merch for that stuff, and it was like,
it's so Cannibal Corpse, man.
It's so, dude, it's like hilariously brutal always. Like, to me, it's comedy, and not in an insulting way. Just like, this is so fucking ridiculous. Like, I remember the first time I really looked really close to the Cannibal Corpse shirt. It was the one where it's just like someone's like just punching through someone's head, and like that, it's just so fucking bloody, and it's just like so funny to me. Like,
yeah, I love it. And the new one, because I got that alternate, and it's that Melina looking bitch, and she's taking the fetus out of her and she's eating it. And I'm like,
oh
man,
my God, that's right. I saw that. I was like, that is so brutal. I was like, that might actually be too brutal for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which respect.
I saw that and I was like, yep, click ordering that one.
You're like, I'll take it. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, and that shirt is pretty sweet too. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. So what are you looking forward to this year? What kind of, are there any albums that you're kind of looking forward to?
Shit. It's funny whenever
your own shit out.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that's the main thing. To got like so many things. I mean, the Backslider record that we just finished has been in progress for 5 years. So the fact that it's literally like we got masters back yesterday, and so like that's been a big like thing for a long time. Shit, for a few years now. When people ask me, "Hey, what are you looking forward to coming up?" and I'm like, "This fucking Backslider record we're working on," and we've had some life hiccups that kind of kept getting in the way that have now fully moved out of the way, and we're able to do that. So I'm really stoked about that. But I'm trying to think of stuff coming up. There is a band from Chicago called Chew that I really love, and they're good friends, but they put out stuff on Iron Lung Records, and their last LP is called Feeding Frenzy, and it's excellent. And they put an EP out after that. I want to say it's called In Due Time or something like that. I listened to it a million times, but I can't remember if that's what it's actually called. Either way, you can find it on the Iron Lung Records Bandcamp, but they have a new band that's the same band, but they're got a different vocalist because they parted ways with their vocalist. And I've heard demos, and it's fucking absolutely insane. And I think that's supposed to happen sometime this year. Iron Lung's going to put it out too, but I don't think they've actually named their band yet. So I guess it's hard to say like, this is the thing I'm talking about.
This one.
Yeah, totally. I mean, other than that, honestly, I don't know. Like I said, iFlies has got a new thing that'll be announced relatively soon. And then I've like mostly been diving into, as far as new shit, it's been mostly hip hop for me.
Dude, nothing wrong with that.
Largely, like I've probably listened to the what's it called? The Plugs I Met Too by Benny the Butcher like fucking 12 times this week.
Benny the Butcher.
It's amazing. It's just unreal, kind of like it's like sort of nostalgic New York style, like boom bap, like
okay,
with just like amazing beats by this dude Harry Fraud, but also it's got its own vibe to it that very much is of the now as well. I don't know, it's super good.
Yeah, I'll check that out.
The Griselda Records umbrella of people that he is with is, I mean, they've been making some of the best music all around the last handful of years, in my opinion. But I mean, shit, other than that stuff coming out, I'm trying to think. I know that like Impalers from Texas has a record that's been recorded. I don't know what's happening with that, but I know it's going to be good when it comes out. Hopefully it comes out this year.
It seems like there's probably
Full Hell made a new
lot.
record. There's going to be so much. You know what I'm really fucking psyched about? Actually, the new Yautja record. That is going to be.
I didn't even.
Dude, Yautja is the best heavy band in America right now. Period. Like,
YOU.
You heard it. It is YAUTJA. They're named after one of the things in Predator. I think maybe like the Predator thing is called a Yautja or whatever. I'm less of a sci-fi nerd than those guys are, at least as far as that kind of sci-fi. So I'm not totally sure, but they have two records out. Songs of Lament and Songs of Dissent. And then they have a new one that's coming out on Relapse. They just got signed to Relapse, and they put one single out last week called the album is called The Lurch. I can't remember what the single is called, but it is unfucking real. And I know that the record's going to be the best heavy record of 2021. I'll call it right now.
Dude, I'll put it on my list. We always do this year-end list now. Nick and John, they do like a top 40 of the year because they just burn through shit like crazy. But
that's what's up. 5 and 10's never enough. I feel like, especially like some years. There was like 2 years ago, I think it was just like, yo, here's my fucking top 50 because this just someone.
There's a ton of stuff, and it's going to be like that because I guarantee there's a lot of bands that are just writing. And what the fuck else you got to do? You know, sit there and jam. You know, so I think by next year we may see a slew of stuff, and we got a lot of stuff, good stuff coming out. I saw the Meshuggah, Cannibal Corpse coming out.
Oh yeah, there's a new Meshuggah coming out, huh?
Yep.
So that last one was
Megadeth.
good.
Megadeth will be out this fall. Carcass.
Oh shit, Carcass got a record coming out.
Yeah,
Hell
dude.
yeah.
That EP.
Man, I finally
just
saw them. I finally saw
cockteased.
them for the first time. That's great. I didn't even realize that. That shit bangs. I saw that. I saw them for the first time like a couple of years ago at the Decibel Metal and Beer thing.
Okay, yeah.
They were so good still. Like I remember kind of being like,
Amazing.
it's Carcass in 2019 or whatever. I was like, it's probably not gonna be that cool. And then they started playing. And I was like, wait a second.
Holy
This is
shit.
fucking killing it, my dudes.
Yeah.
Oh, also on new shit, Genocide Pact, also another relapse band from Baltimore. They have a new record coming out, and that shit is gonna be. I've heard most of it actually, and it's unfucking real.
Huh, I didn't
Gonna
know
be
they had one.
Gonna really, really. I don't. It hasn't been announced, but they record with Kevin, the bass player for iFly.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
when we were doing the Backslider stuff, we got to kind of be like, hey, Kevin,
Show us some shit,
can
man.
we hear that shit? And it's bonkers good. It's the perfect. I was saying this to Tim, the guitar player too. It's like the perfect balance of like just being like supremely like ugly and like kind of like almost dumb in a way, you know, with like just like the heavy, just like face punching riffs, but like so creative in the way that they do it. There's like nothing that comes off where you listen to it. It's like, this is like smart guy metal and it's like doing too much, but it's also like not some shit that like that won't catch you off guard necessarily. But all the grooves and all the riffs are just like, it's Mongo. It's fucking ignorant. It's like,
sounds like right on my alley, man. Sounds good.
Yeah,
the only thing I don't care for too much is that cavernous black metal, overly like saturated white noise bullshit. It's like, how can you put out a record like that sounds like shit, you know? And unfortunately, the big thing is that when you crank up the volume and you tone out that shit, there's good stuff in there. There's good stuff hidden in there. It's like, why would you mask that? And I understand
it's a whole vibe.
Yeah,
that specifically is not my thing, as it relates to like that kind of like black metal thing. But I get it because there's a lot of like raw punk stuff, like or like crusty shit that I'm into that also has like a similar vibe where it's like the music that's being played is like wild. And like you're like the riffs are just like go, and it's like shit that it's like, you know, people always want to like look down their nose at like noisy punk stuff and kind of be like, hey, these guys got no talent. And it's like, yo, try to actually do what any of these motherfuckers are doing, and I guarantee you cannot. But the part of the sound is like hiss and like, you know, like this like kind of like noisy overtone of it. And it's like kind of like an aesthetic thing. But it's its own thing, and it's one of those things where you have to do it just right, you know. And when you it's that challenge of doing the thing that you want to do and just executing it perfectly, like just really finding that pinhole and getting it right there. And there's something so satisfying about doing that properly. And with those kinds of things, it's like right. And it's also, but often those things are super niche as well. So like somebody, you know, like with that black metal stuff you were talking about, there's like a lot of those bands probably do that so well to the people who have the ear for it, but you and I don't.
True.
Whereas like, you know, kind of a lot of the like punk stuff that I like that does that kind of thing. It's, you know, I grew up listening to that stuff. So like, I get where it's coming from. So then when somebody's doing it in the now and doing it right, it's like really exciting.
Yeah, and I
also
agree.
sometimes
Sometimes
it's like frustrating. You see the band live or whatever, and you're like, "Yo, I didn't know your riffs were so crazy." Because you couldn't tell.
A good example was it made my I think it was a metal tag thing that I did. The question was an album that's ruined by production, and Zastor was one of those. And I bought the record because, man, I like the music, but it's fucking hard to listen to. It really is. Really hard to listen to, and you can do that raw sound. I mean, your guys' record sounds raw. I mean, it sounds it sounds like a good grind kind of heavy punk album should sound. To me, you don't want something that's like super processed, you know, like Kill Switch Engage type sound on that. It wouldn't. It would be horrible. It would be horrible.
I could never make a record that sounded like that.
You guys got it. The sound of that album fits, and the reason I asked how you guys recorded, because I think you guys would I think recording the way Rage recorded Evil Empire, I think that would work well for you guys.
The way that record sounds too,
dude. They recorded that in like a 10 by 12 room all at once, all together.
No shit.
The amps, the drums, everything were in the same room. Everything was
Empire,
bleeding.
really?
Yes.
That's cool.
They recorded it all
sounds
live.
Great too.
Yeah, they couldn't.
In that small of a room, those drums are fucking huge.
I think it was a small room. It couldn't have been more than 20 by 20. But
That's
yeah,
cool,
because they laid down the tracks for it, and they didn't get that feel that they were getting, that they wanted. So they're like, well, let's just bring some people in the studio and just jam, just have a concert in here. And they did it, and that's what's on the record. He recorded what fucking song was it? Do you
know who engineered that record?
No, I don't. And I should know that, being the way I am.
Fair enough, yeah. I mean, I feel like I should too, and I don't. So
yeah, but I think you guys, I think you guys could. I think that would be good for you guys to try it at least and see how it goes. I mean, from with an engineer standpoint, Kevin, it's hard. Not gonna lie, but Kevin would definitely know how to do it, because you get a lot of phasing issues in things that you really have to be aware of as an engineer, and you really have to he would know. You gotta keep those 40 hertz below. You gotta keep that shit in check.
He's not afraid of fucking around with some weird shit though too. There's a Triac LP that's recorded that is not out yet, and the drums were done in the vocal booth essentially, because he was like, I want to put these drums in a super tiny spot. I want to make them sound dead, and whatever. It was the drummer's idea. Whereas also Backslider has the same drummer, and we had him in a gigantic room that we took everything out of so we could make it as roomy sounding as possible.
Almost like an echo chamber.
Right, and did the total opposite. But it was really cool. Kind of, I wasn't there when they made the track record or anything like that, but he had sent over some video, and then obviously just hearing a few iterations of the mixes and stuff. It was a really cool and interesting kind of thing. The sound is just sounds really unique. Nothing sounds really like it. Now, you wouldn't be able to put your finger on what would be weird about it necessarily, but it just kind of has this fresh sound because they took a totally different approach. But it'll be fun. We've talked a little bit about trying to do something where we go into a different space where either Kevin still engineers the record, or maybe we just kind of be like, hey, why don't you just be the bass player for a record, and we just go and fuck around with somebody else, just
give him a break,
for fun, see what's up, give him a break. He's always recording his own bands whenever they record. I'm sure it'd be nice to maybe take a step back, or I don't know if losing the control would be hard or not, but
it would. Yeah, that's a person by person. I'm all for just letting it go, but there are times where I'm sitting there, I'm like, if you add this tube compressor and set it at this, it would sound a lot better,
right.
So, and it's kind of, you gotta, you get to a point where you just gotta let the person do what he's gonna do, and then because every person has a rhyme to their reason,
right.
Every engineer does stuff differently. So but
we flirted with the idea. We flirted with the idea of trying to go to electric audio, and there's different sort of tiers of what you pay for or whatever, and it's you can pay for a session where you can bring somebody to be an assistant, and then have Steve Albini work with you on every few days or something like that, come in and kind of use his methods to mic some shit up, and then Kevin had talked to me, he's like, maybe we can have we come in, we have Steve come in for the first 2 days, and then I'll track us for a few days, and then we'll have him come back and for different parts of the process, so and do that kind of thing. And I don't know if that's something we'll ever do, but it was we've tossed that around.
That's an option.
We're definitely we're definitely open to experimenting with how we get this stuff.
Yeah, and you guys are in a good spot over there. There's a lot of great stuff happening over on the East Coast, especially with recording and stuff like that. You guys are in a good spot over there.
It's part of why I moved up here from Florida. It was I was I'd really like to be just close to things.
Yeah, Florida's, man, it's not much going down there. I mean, even the bands that are there just don't play in Florida. It's you're gonna play to a bunch of college kids that want to listen to Nicki Manji or whatever her name is, or you got 65-year-olds, jamming the Lawrence Welk soundtrack.
Yeah, I mean the thing too about it is I can't even really speak to too much of what it's like now. A lot of that stuff is sort of turned over since I left, but I mean, we had a killer scene for a while that was like just like a big Florida scene. But the problem
Tampa, right? Tampa was pretty banging at one point.
Tampa was kind of banging, but honestly, Orlando and Miami and and Gainesville really like were crushing it for a long time.
Okay.
And I mean, and Miami never stops crushing it. Actually, I mean, you got Torch and Wrong down there killing it, and like, and then like all those dudes are in like amazing bands too, like. Fucking Shitstorm is incredible, and like just a million things going on down there that are always great. But the problem with it is, and the problem why like you may not hear about it or anybody might not hear about it, again another reason why I left, nothing seems to make it out usually, and so like touring out of Florida is a whole fucking thing, where like it's like if you're gonna go anywhere of importance, you gotta like book 3 weeks minimum or whatever. Where it was like when I decided to move up to Philly, I was like, one of the things was like, I could have a band and tour 3-4 days like every couple of months and cover tons of ground and not have to like take crazy amounts of time off of work and not have to like make sure that you got a tip-top shape van or like all this kind of stuff. It's like, cool, we'll go east and hit between Philly and Boston for a few days one time, and then we'll go down and hit go down to a few days down to Richmond and back, and then like the next time we'll go to Chicago and back, and then the next time we'll and it's just like
it's super easy. Philly is
like actually being able to do that. It's excellent. And it's
you're not too far from anything really. And like you said, down in Florida, like you come out of there and then you got Atlanta. And then
Atlanta's super hit or so Atlanta's always been super hit or miss. Same with New Orleans too. Atlanta and New Orleans have both been super hit or miss unless you're super established. Especially in New Orleans. Nobody gives a shit. And that's the thing. New Orleans, I fucking love New Orleans,
I do too.
like with a passion, but it's not a good music city for like DIY punk or metal stuff unless you're like super established. It's good for every other kind of art and like performance stuff. Like I have a bunch of friends that do burlesque stuff down there and do just like build crazy shit for all the parades and like do all this stuff. And it's like super rad for like do it yourself like artists and all this kind of stuff except for extreme music. And I feel like Atlanta's sort of similarly where it's like it's kind of like by nature of how poppin' the cities are is that it's like you got to give them a reason. Nobody's starved for anything, so if it's not like the shit, nobody cares. Whereas like if you can like get past that, make it into North Carolina and shit like that, then it's like, all right, then people are gonna come check you out and see what's up. So now
I was about to say, I mean, I guess if Crowbar is playing at a venue with like 100 people, then who the fuck is gonna sell anything more than your Crowbar, right?
Well, totally. Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, my girlfriend used to live in New Orleans and she was talking about seeing I Hate God there and shit like that. She's like, yeah, it'd be like 100 people.
Oh man, I would like
it's like, dude, like my old band played with them in Florida, and Backslider toured with them on the West Coast a few years ago as well. But the first time I ever saw them, a band I was in years ago in Florida played with them in Orlando, and it was the first time they had like played out of New Orleans in years, because for the longest time they didn't tour.
They were gone like for a while.
This is the only time that we're gonna get to see I Hate God, and the show sold out in like fucking a week or some shit, and just like no issue. And then like just hearing that they like in New Orleans are a local band, and it's like people are stoked to see them, but it's not crazy.
No, it's not. Which blows my mind. They should be bigger than me.
Fucking too.
I fucking love all those guys, all those New Orleans guys that I Hate God, Crowbar, anything that fills in. This is fucking million projects he does. He's just doing that live stream is coming up to April 9th. Him and the Illegals are doing a Pantera thing.
Is it going to be all Pantera shit?
Yeah, I think it's going to be all Pantera stuff. I bought the ticket for Scour, the live stream, but I don't even know what the hell happened that weekend. It was just a blur of bullshit, and I forgot. By Monday come around, I'm like, fuck, man, I missed that fucking live stream.
Damn.
But yeah, it is what it is. I still felt fine supporting. I'm always going to support anything Phil does. But
yeah, hell yeah. So it goes. What's the fucking the Jarvis cousins are in that shit too. Adam's always been a sweet guy. My other band's played with Pig Destroyer a couple times, and that dude's a top notch fella.
Jamming them last night, Pig Destroyer.
Oh man!
And because I got it mixed up, because I got a vinyl and some like monthly subscription thing. And it was All Pigs Must Die. And I was like, I was thinking they were Pig Destroyer. I was like, no, they're way different. They're not way different, but
It's like, damn, like, man, my man plays drums way different. Yeah, that's
yeah.
Ben from Converge's band.
Yep.
That's right.
Yeah. So it's pretty lucky to get that one. It's a good album, but yeah.
The
So,
band rips.
do you prefer those long stretches of months, or do you prefer those short 3 weeks, just bam, 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 and then get 2 weeks off?
It's funny. My preferences personally are far different from pretty much anyone I play music with in all 4 or 5 bands that I play in. And that's that I like to be out as much as possible, always. And I'm forever willing to ruin my life otherwise to do so. Most of the people I play music with are more like reasonable than I am when it comes to like giving a shit about keeping their life together. So even something like 3 weeks is like long for what like most of my bands can pull off with everyone involved. I used to years ago be in some bands that were kind of, everybody was just like, we don't give a shit about anything and we'll just do this. So it was like we'd go out for like 2.5 months at a time, and that was fucking great. I don't know if I'll ever get a chance to do that again, but it was really great to do that. I know for, it's like if Backslider goes out, it's usually 2 weeks or less. If iFlies goes out, it's usually 2 weeks or less as well. I think the last tour we did was with Torch, and it was 18 days or something like that. But then the only shit we did besides that essentially was we went out, we did our own headlining tour with Fashion Week. And I think that was only like 8 or 9 days. And then,
oh wow, that's really short. It's like barely enough time to get your gears going, man. You're barely coming out of second gear.
I feel you. So it's kind of weird because like the pressure's different. It's like you get a short period of time to kind of really knock it out of the park. We did the first one. I think it was like we did 3 shows with Multicult, and then we did 3 shows with Daughters, and those were, especially the Daughters stuff. I mean, Daughters is a ginormous band, and we were on their it was like their C Market tour. So they were playing like weird places that we played someplace in Connecticut I'd never even heard of, kind of thing.
It's a lot of places in Connecticut no one's ever heard of.
Absolutely. And I mean, the fact that Daughters was playing Connecticut at all, I was like, damn, really? But yeah, that was some shit where it was like, they're one of my favorite bands of all time also, but like, I don't know, just like the whole thing where it was literally, we had played 4 shows and then total as a band, and then Daughters took us out to do a few while we were playing to like multiple hundreds of people. And it was kind of like, damn, I didn't even really get a chance to like warm up before it was all over, Yeah, I don't. So it makes me really hungry to want to be able to properly do like. That was one other bummer about that tour, the tour getting canceled.
The Europe thing, yeah, that would have been great, dude.
Yeah, it was going to be like, I think it was like 3.5 weeks playing fucking shows to like no less than 300 people a night. Some of the shows were probably going to be like 800 to 1,000.
Oh man, that's awesome.
And like in some of the bigger cities, like I think London was like slated to be fucking huge, and I was really excited to, because we haven't really done it with this band yet. The Torch thing was the only time I feel like by the end of it, I was like, man, those last week of shows, we were just fucking
killing it,
fire, and I think we always played pretty well, but I'm really definitely super eager to get out on the road in a way that I remember my favorite shows I've ever played are always like 2 weeks into tour, when you just like all that, you don't even think about it, it's just fucking there, and then your stage presence is kicked up because it's all
rust off, you get you're just feeling that groove and stuff. Playing, I noticed too, it just takes a minute to get in the swing of it because you're coming off of like a long break or whatever, and you're kind of just kind of in that twilight phase of, okay, now we're really touring or really doing this, and then like you said, it takes a couple weeks and certainly a couple shows to get it going and get the grease going and everything, and then it's like you come into that 3rd week and then you're hitting your stride and then everything's just butter, But shit,
totally. I think an advantage we have, I think, is the nature of the other projects that we're all in. iFly's like performance wise is kind of easy, because like the focus isn't on like shit being like super fasted and technical and having to like look down at your guitar for every note because you're like doing,
because you're playing a million of them.
Right, exactly. Where it's like with this stuff, it's like that's not like the focus. That's not the vibe. So it kind of always feels a little relaxing, even if we haven't played a show in a while. But we've all been doing like our other shit, and then we do that, and it's like, yeah, all right, cool. This is all just like grooves and cool rhythms, and like we could just kind of have fun with it, even if we're a little rusty.
Yeah, and that's a thing about one of the many things about this album that I get from a sound guy is I can hear the fun you guys are having doing this. You guys are thoroughly enjoying the music that you're doing, and it shows in the recording. I mean, you can tell in the recording as someone that does this whether or not those musicians are invested or not, and you tell that you guys put your heart into this and the sound, and it comes through, and it really does. That's why I was really impressed with the record.
Fuck yeah, thank you so much.
My brother is a big Melvin's fan, and he's like, man, no band's fucking like that. And I was like, dude, you have no idea.
It's like,
no idea.
Stole a song title for their band name, and then
yeah,
now we'll have to hold up to it.
Yeah, like I told him, I was like, dude, the fucking name is iFlies. It's like, no shit, man. So,
hell yeah.
But yeah, everyone, Thrallers, check out iFlies. Tubalard released just in March of last year, or no, September. Right? No, March September 13th was the EP, and then you had that single that was March 21st of 2019. That's right. So the Stems single came out.
Oh, is that
first.
when that came out?
Yeah.
That's it. Was that far back? That's right. Because I remember we waited forever to put another single out. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think it was because the label wanted to have something to kind of like have to listen to when they announced that we had signed with them.
That makes sense.
It felt like a million years before we had another single come out for the EP.
Yeah, because it was a year almost to the day from that single to the album.
Damn, no shit.
Which in between releasing an EP.
That's why it's confusing. That makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, I had to look it up too. I was like, wait a minute, I thought they released in September. I'm seeing March. Like, what the fuck? Oh, it's a single. Okay, that makes sense. But yeah, dude, thank you so much for joining us here and doing the interview. And I'm hoping that this pushes this album because it deserves to be pushed. It would have made my year-end list. I would have put it in the top 10 last year. No shit. And that's not trying to buddy you up, man. We'll save that for when you come over here. We'll get buttered up.
Hell yeah, I like that.
Throw some beers down. But yeah, when you guys come around, I'm there. We're there. Thrallers are there. Great. We'll do a thing. We'll have a meet up with our Thrallers, and I can't wait, man. I can't wait for shows to come back and start seeing these bands. So again, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thrallers, hit subscribe, hit notifications, do all that fancy stuff, social media bullshit. You know the drill by now. Come on.
Fuck yeah.
Peace.
Fucking hey, take it easy, bud. Have a good one.
All right. That was it. The interview with Jake. What a great guy. Cool conversation we had. Got a little off topic as normally do, but that's fine. I don't look at these as like an interview per se. It's more of like, hey, let's talk about the album, and then just kind of go off the rails and bullshit a little bit, get to know the guys behind the album, the dudes making the music, what are they like, and stuff like that. And we touched base on how they were dealing with the whole COVID crap, which is winding down. So hopefully things are kind of getting there, but we're not fully there. We'll get there though. No worries. But until then, tune in, hit the subscribe button. We do stuff all the time, and we got more stuff coming up. We're going to be doing some more live show reviews now that those are kind of picking up and going. I know the Deicide show is coming up. We got Soulfly that we'll be at. So there's a lot of cool things coming up. The Cannibal Corpse ranking will be here in the next few weeks. I got some really cool Japanese limited pressings of some Cannibal Corpse records that I'm going to be unboxing. That'll be coming out before the Cannibal Corpse ranking, which I know everybody is excited about. So we're getting on it, getting our schedules to mold together, kind of getting a cool background for it, something new. We may be shooting it out at my place here. So if you like what you see, hit subscribe, notifications. We got Patreon, all the links in the the description below. We have t-shirts. Just email us at thrallsofmetal@gmail.com. Again, that information will be down below. And like I said, a lot of cool stuff coming up. The live concert reviews will be coming back. I know that was for those that have came across us during this COVID thing. We used to do live concert reviews, and I think we may be the only guys doing that. Those will be coming back. Those were a favorite of our early fans, so those will be coming back. Stay tuned for that. And hey, welcome to my new setup, and we'll keep chugging along, man. Until next time.